I threw a punch at my brother's best mate at our mum's funeral, and it nearly broke us forever. You ever make a mistake so loud it echoes through people you haven't met yet? That was me at 29, washed-up semi-pro boxer, part-time bartender, full-time screw-up. My name's Kieran Holt, born and raised in Wollongong, New South Wales. I used to be that bloke with the left hook from hell. Now I was that bloke who swung on his brother's best mate at a funeral. Let me explain. The day everything went to shit started with rain, the cold kind that sneaks into your bones. I stood under the corrugated metal awning of Paddy's pub, watching the drizzle blur the neon sign. My shift didn't start for an hour, but I didn't feel like going home. Not with Mum gone, not with my brother Liam giving me the cold shoulder, not with every punch I'd thrown still echoing in my memory like gunfire in a church. I lit a cigarette I didn't need. I hadn't smoked in months, but grief has a way of dragging you back into your worst habits like they're warm blankets. Inside the pub, the air smelled of old beer, fried onions, and resentment. It was quiet for now. Tuesday afternoons were like that, just retirees sipping schooners and watching the footy highlights loop endlessly on mute. That's when I saw it. Tucked into the far corner of the corkboard behind the bar, pinned up between a lost cat flyer and an ad for discount towing, a photo of me and Liam. We were kids. I couldn't have been more than 15. I was wearing my first pair of boxing gloves. Liam was grinning, arms around my shoulder like he was proud. The photo was sun-faded and curling at the edges, but it stopped me cold. Because that version of me, that scrawny, wide-eyed kid, he believed he was going somewhere. He believed in honor, in loyalty, in keeping promises. That was before I broke every one of those. Mum passed on a Friday, pancreatic cancer, quick, cruel, and silent. By the time she told us she had weeks left, we barely got to say goodbye. Her funeral was small, church crowd, a few neighbors, and Callum, Liam's best mate since school. Now a copper with more ego than empathy. Callum always hated me, said I was a walking warning label, said Liam should have cut ties when I quit boxing and started drinking. He wasn't wrong. I'd burned more bridges than I could count, but he never missed a chance to twist the knife. At the wake in Mum's own backyard, he made some crack about how I probably couldn't even afford flowers, that I'd probably sold Mum's jewelry to fund my next binge. I snapped. I didn't think, didn't speak, just threw the punch. One. Right to the jaw. He didn't even fall, just stared at me like I'd proven his thesis. Everyone saw. Liam saw. I became the headline of Mum's wake. Next day, Liam stopped answering my texts, my calls. He moved into her house without saying a word, left me in our shared flat with silence and unpaid bills. I tried to apologize, wrote letters, recorded voicemails I never sent, thought about showing up at his work, but something in me said, "You've already done enough damage." 2 weeks after the wake, I was sweeping up glass behind the bar when the door opened and in walked Casey Turner. Casey used to be my trainer, a wiry old man with cauliflower ears and the patience of a priest. I hadn't seen him in years, not since I dropped out of his training program and started flaking on matches. He sat down, ordered a lemon squash, didn't even look surprised to see me in an apron. "I heard about your mum," he said. I nodded. "Thanks." He studied me. "Heard about the punch too." Of course he had. "You know," he continued, "you've still got time." "For what?" I asked, a bitter laugh escaping me. "To change the story." That night, I went home and dusted off the old gloves. They were stiff, cracked at the seams, like me. I punched the heavy bag until my knuckles split. Casey offered me a deal, said he'd let me train again just for fitness, but only if I stayed clean. No booze, no benders, no excuses, just sweat, structure, and silence. I took it. Not because I thought I deserved a comeback, but because the silence was too loud. Mornings started at 5:30, jog around the harbor, sprints up the hill near North Beach, then drills, then bag work, then cleaning the gym with a toothbrush, Casey's old punishment for cocky boxers. I didn't tell anyone, not even the pub crew. Let them think I was still just a deadbeat in recovery. It was easier than explaining why a grown man was trying to outrun his own reflection. Some days, I'd see Liam around town, driving Mum's old Subaru, picking up groceries. Once at the petrol station, we made eye contact. He looked away. That one stung more than the punch ever had. 6 months passed. I was stronger, sober, still alone, but clearer in the head. Casey started hinting at an amateur comeback. Not for glory, he said, for closure. He signed me up for a charity match. Proceeds went to the cancer ward where Mum had spent her final days. I didn't expect Liam to come. I didn't even invite him. But the night of the match, as I wrapped my hands and stared into the mirror in the locker room, Casey knocked on the door. "You've got a visitor," he said. It was Liam. He didn't say much, just handed me a folded piece of paper. It was Mum's last letter, one she'd written but never sent. The first line read, "I hope you boys forgive each other before it's too late." I held the letter like it might burn me. Mum's handwriting, loopy, uneven from the meds, curved across the paper like a voice trying to reach from somewhere beyond the grave. I hope you boys forgive each other before it's too late. The air in the locker room thickened. I hadn't cried in months, not when I cleaned out her closet, not when I sold her wedding china to cover rent. But now, with those words in my palm and my brother standing in front of me, the dam cracked. Liam didn't say anything, just looked at me, eyes glassy, fists in his jacket pockets like he didn't trust what they might do. It hit me then how tired he looked, like carrying the grudge had cost him just as much as it cost me. I was wrong, I said quietly. About a lot. He nodded. Yeah, me too. Silence then. She wouldn't have liked what we've become. No, I agreed, folding the letter. But maybe she'd like what we're about to be. He cracked the faintest smile. Win the match. You watching? I'm in the front row. I nodded, heart thumping harder than before. For the first time in years, I felt like I was fighting for something, not just against myself. The crowd was small, local folks, hospital staff, a few amateur boxing fans looking for a night of blood and closure. The guy I was up against, 24, quick, shifty, strong on the counter. First round, I got clipped in the ribs and nearly folded. My lungs screamed. The old voice in my head whispered, "You're too old for this, Kieran. Sit down." But then I looked into the crowd and saw Liam. He wasn't cheering, wasn't clapping, just watching, really watching. Second round, I started to remember who I was. By the third, I found rhythm. Old instincts flared, slip, jab, hook, step out. My body remembered even when my brain doubted. Final round, I caught the kid with a clean left to the body that made him gasp. Not a knockout, but enough to tip the points in my favor. When the bell rang and the ref raised my hand, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clean. For the first time in years, I hadn't run. Hadn't swung out of rage or shame or fear. I'd stood, taken hits, given back, and stayed present. That was new. After the match, I found Liam leaning against the gym wall outside. "You still hit like a mule," he said, arms crossed, "and you still sulk like a teenager." He laughed, short, but real. There was a pause. Then, "I kept the gloves," he said. "The ones from that photo at Patty's." My throat caught. "Why?" He shrugged. "Figured maybe one day we'd be brothers again." I nodded, fighting the lump in my chest. "We still can be." That night, we walked home together. No big speech, no apology ceremony. Just two blokes learning how to share silence without it being a punishment. Months passed, I kept training, not for competition, but to stay right in the head. I started volunteering at the youth boxing program Casey ran. Kids with records and rage and nowhere else to go. I saw pieces of myself in all of them. Told them not just how to throw a jab, but how to hold their anger without letting it rot them from the inside. I fixed up Mum's old garden at Liam's place, planted native flowers, built a bench. Sometimes I'd sit there after helping Liam cook dinner and think about that first photo behind the bar, the one with us as kids, and I'd realize maybe redemption isn't about erasing what you did, maybe it's about what you build after.